Good morning. How's everybody? I hope everybody's fine. Good morning, my dear. We are very happy to be here this morning and be able to read, to study, to talk about Spiritism in this house of love. We are very blessed for this day, one more day in our lives, a beautiful Sunday, and we come here to feed our soul. This is the food, let's say, that we need in our souls. So we always start the Sunday Gospel in English, reading a message of a book, and I brought Happy Life. And I'm gonna open it. And it says, constant exhaustion, dissatisfaction, and bad moods are big. Big red flags of danger in your life. They result from the improper use of your energy and resources and not taking the time to recover. Sleep by itself cannot provide enough rest to your body if you are agitated and anxious all the time. So, balance your activities, go deep within, and you will perceive that you lack the nurturing and comforting spiritual bread. Reorganize your life and restore balance to it while there is still time. And the spiritual bread, that's the food that I mentioned in the beginning. And it is a small passage, but it has so many teachings for us, right? Because we live a life where we are always very busy, anxious. I know I don't know about you guys, but this is for me for sure. And that we need to rest also our mind. And the prayer is something that takes us to these places. So let's start. Let's make a prayer to start the gospel today. This is a special gospel. It's not the gospel itself, but it is the gospel because Dr. Bezerra de Menezes is the gospel. So let's start elevating our thoughts, inviting you, all of you, incarnated, disincarnated that are here. So many spiritual friends among us, with us, inspiring us. May this day be peaceful. May we be able to connect with the good spirits, with the messages, with the examples, so we can work on our difficulties. Because we know that we have a God that loves us, is with us all the time. Thank you, Jesus, our dear brother, for all the teachings, but most your example, the love that you brought us. We have it to follow. Thank you. Our dear house, our Spiritist Center, Bezerra de Menezes, for the opportunity of working, for the opportunity of studying the gospel. And may we start with happiness and love in our hearts. So be it. So again, It's a happy day always to be able to talk about the life and work of Bezerra de Menezes and his contribution to Spiritism. We just had the Spiritist Center anniversary, 40 years, April 18th. And last week, Sunday, it was the last day of our Spiritist, Bezerra de Menezes Spiritist week, where we spoke about Bezerra de Menezes in Spanish, and we would like to bring in English as well to our friends, so we get to know a little bit more about this spirit, which is our mentor, the one that at the time Benjamin was with Divaldo organizing the institution. They were trying to see what is the name, what name we're going to put it to the center. And they had that inspiration that in Benjamin said Bezerra de Menezes and Divaldo together. So this is a very happy day for us to be here talking about Bezerra de Menezes. So we're going to start showing the books that we used to bring this study. We used Bezerra de Menezes Ontem e Hoje. This book is in Portuguese. We used the Bezerra de Menezes, The Man, the Time, and the Mission, which is also in Portuguese. It's a very thick book, but it is a biography brought by a very good friend of us, Luciano Klein. And we researched this book to bring some information. But most of it was this book from Chico Xavier, the psychography from Humberto de Campos, that is the spirit that brought the information on this book. Brasil, Coração do Mundo, Pátria do Evangelho, Brazil, the world heart, and the gospel, Pátria, I don't know in English. But those books were the ones that we studied to start our talking. So we wanted to bring the history even before Bezerra was incarnated. What happened? Why was he coming to incarnate in Brazil? And what was the mission behind it? Which, thanks to the books and the Spiritism, the biographies, we are able to understand a little bit more about him. So, a little more about this spirit. Let's talk about the spirit. Who was the spirit Bezerra de Menezes? We have brought by Ivone Pereira in one of her books, and this, the 13th Apostle, it's one of the books that bring us some information about his previous life. So one of them, as Eulalia also brought us in the gospel that she gave us in the park about Bezerra de Menezes, it was brought to us that he was Zaccheo, the one that was with Jesus in that passage where he goes up to the tree just to see Jesus, and his life changed drastically after that. And when we talk about Zaccheo in the book, we feel in the words that he was already a good spirit. He was the one that was collecting the fees, but he was a very just person. He was someone with a good heart. He helped a lot the people in his house, and we can see which spirit was that, incarnating multiple times before coming as Bezerra de Menezes. Other books, and Ave Cristo, we know that he was Matias, then he was Quinto Varro, Quinto Celso, and Parmenio. All of these books from Emmanuel bring a little bit more about the spirit and the difficult lives that he had, all these incarnations, learning, being patient, trying to assist his son, then coming as the father again. So several incarnations that reunite the 3rd century of Christianity in the region controlled by the Roman Empire. It was a very hard times after Jesus, because we know what happened to the church. So yeah, a lot of wars and misunderstanding of Jesus' teachings. And those spirits comes incarnating, multiple incarnations, learning. And Bezerra de Menezes then was one of them. In question 793 of the Spirits book, Allan Kardec asks, very interesting, by what signs can we recognize a complete civilization? How can we identify that? What are the signs? And the answer is, and who answered it? It's very important too. It was the Spirit of Truth. We know that Jesus was leading those group of spirits with a lot of angelical spirits as well. So he says, it will be recognized by moral development. You believe you are very advanced because you have made great discoveries and obtained wonderful inventions, because you live and dress better than savages. However, you will not truly have the right to call yourself civilized until you have banished the vices and dishonor your society and live as brothers, practicing Christian charity. Until then, you will only be enlightened people who have gone through the first phase of civilization. Would you like to discuss more about teachings in the Spirit book or more? Sorry. Yeah, that was just to mention that the Spirit's book has more about this passage if we want to research a little bit more. So, how can we recognize the signs of evolving civilizations? It's by our acts. And that's why we bring Bezerra de Menezes as an example. Throughout all those incarnations, he's been showing a sign of this evolution in the way that he treated people, in the way that he lived his life, which we're gonna talk a little bit more now. So this book, as I mentioned, this book brings a lot of information. I don't know if we have that book in English. I know we have them in the library in Portuguese. It is a book that I'm going to read what happened in the 9th century, which is spoken about in this book, where Chico Xavier brings, Humberto de Campos brings us a more broad information regarding the times, even before the Brazil land was discovered. There was a meeting in the spiritual world, and he says, brothers, he explained, this was Ismael, the spirit that led Brazil even until today. He's the one that takes care. We always, every nation, we always have help from the good spirits. So in Brazil was Ismael, the spirit that is talking right now in this passage, and he says, brothers, the current century, as you know, will be marked by the advent of the Comforter on earth. In these 100 years, the great preparatory movements for the next 100 years will take place. The spiritual world is not thinking about right now. They are thinking about what is going to be in the next 100 years, the next 200 years. A true renaissance of philosophies and science will occur during these years, so that the 20th century will be duly enlightened as a link between the civilization that is disappearing and the civilization of the future, which will be based on fraternity and justice. So it was a very prepared moment, which a lot of spirits incarnated on Earth and the planet, not only in Brazil, but Brazil was a land that was prepared to receive the seeds, some spirits to bring this love, continue the gospel teachings by Jesus. And why Brazil? Many things. Oh, but why Brazil? We know that the Spiritism is very well developed in Brazil. We have a lot of books, but there is a meaning behind it. It was because that land was not as compromised as the other lands in the planet. If we think about after Jesus, the Europe, all the area, there was a lot of religions at the time, a lot of wars in name of God, in name of the religion, misunderstandings. And Brazil was a land where it was not, and I talking about before discovering the land. It was a land that was really ready to receive those seeds. Also because of the richness of the land itself. We know that the food and the land itself and everything. So it was a place where in this meeting, Jesus transplanted from Palestine to the region of Cruzeiro. And we talk about Americas. He doesn't talk about only Brazil. He says Americas. They were the place where we wanted to start fresh. The message that was not very well understood on the other side of the world. And from this place, it's going to spread. It says, Jesus transplanted from Palestine to the region of Cruzeiro the magnanimous tree of his gospel, so that its delicate shoots would bloom again, bearing fruits in works of love for all creatures. This is in the preface, the beginning of this book. That is the message that is telling us about what is this book about. It's about this big plan when the spirits were coming to start the work there in Brazil. And so we know that nothing happens without his supervision, especially in Earth. He's our governor of this planet. Everything is very well prepared by him. And it's very interesting that he never sends anyone by itself. They are the spirits that comes in mission. They are always accompanied by a lot of other spirits to support. There is support all over. 1804, and from 1804 to 1869, Allan Kardec was incarnated in Lyon, France. At the same period, Leon Denis, as we know, it's one of the continuator after Allan Kardec. He was the one reinforcing the messages and working very hard to keep the Spiritism alive during that time. And we know he disincarnated in 1910. And if we didn't pay attention, Bezerra de Menezes was incarnated at the same time as they were. 1831 to 1900. And as you can see, Leon Denis disincarnated after Bezerra de Menezes. They were incarnated together at the same time during this period. It was a period where a lot of new information was coming to all of us. We need to mention then, in 1910 to 2002, we also had Chico Xavier, with all the biographies and the books and everything that we have today, thanks to this missionary spirit that came to bring us so many information, so much for all of us. And we need to mention his incarnated still, Divaldo Franco, our dear friend that has been working day and night for our beautiful doctrine of the spirits. So we call all of them missioners. We always have the missioners that comes to help the humanity to evolve, the planet Earth and all of us together, evolving. We say that we are changing the planet into We are in atonements and proofs and atonements, and then we are going to change to regeneration. It's true, and the process is very slow. It depends on ourselves and the change of each human being incarnated in this planet. So it has started long ago. It's not something that is happening right now in the 2000s. It's been happening since Jesus came to earth, because we cannot be regenerated without love. And the message of love is the starting of our mind awakening for the real message of love. So now let's talk about a little bit the spirit, Bezerra de Menezes. He was born in 1831 in Brazil, and this is the place. August 29, Santa Bárbara, Riacho das Pedras, in Brazil, in the Ceará state. A small city, and he was incarnated in that place. 1838 to 1846, what happened? Let's see a little bit. He started studying. He was on the top students of the traditional Liceu de Ceará. Before going to Liceu, in his starting studying from when he was like 7 years old, he went to the elementary school in Brazil. And the biography says that in 10 months, he learned reading, writing, and basic math. He was a very advanced spirit in 10 months. He was a fast learner because he already had that in his spirit, and it was easier for him to receive the information and to adapt. He went to the Liceu de Ceará, and he knew what he wanted to be since before being born. He wanted to be a doctor. He wanted to study medicine. He was Catholic. Since he was born, his family was Catholic. They were Católicos. And he went to the Liceu de Ceará. He was always someone advanced in the study. Then what happened? In 1851, when he was 19, he went to study med school, and he decided to go to Rio de Janeiro. And this time his family was they were having monetary trouble. The money was not, they didn't have money to send him to Rio to start his career, but he decided to go anyways. His father gave him a little bit for him to go and start, and 400 mil reais. I don't know that in that time, how much would that be in the Brazilian money, but he got a little money to start this journey. And it is really a journey, because he entered in 1852 as an intern practitioner at the hospital of Santa Casa de Misericórdia. Since day one, he was studying, he was giving math classes to maintain himself, and he was also volunteering in the hospital to help, to assist. He was never there like doing nothing. He was always helping, especially in the hospitals. Yes, okay. In 1856, then he taught philosophy and mathematics to maintain himself, and he got married in 1858 with Maria Cândida de Lacerda. She passed away in 1863. He had two children with her, and he married his second wife, which was a sister of his previous wife, which he stayed married until he died. So he had 7 children, it says the book, but Luciano told us there was much more than 7 children. He had a lot of kids. 1867. So Bezerra de Menezes, he started his life in Rio, studying med school. Then he enlisted in the army. He was a doctor in the army as well, but he also wanted to do things for the city, for the people. So he was also in the politics. He was a person trying to help everybody. And then he says, to meet the desires of the simplest people. His goal was to meet the desire of the simplest people, who saw in him a paternal and protective figure, capable of raising his voice and fighting for the general good. People that knew him as a doctor, as a good doctor, as a loving doctor, they were the ones asking him to go to this and that political position, to represent them, because they trusted him. He was a very trustful person. If we think our lives today, like when you do one or two things, like we say, oh my God, that is a lot, that is too much. He was also working on the abolitionist laws. He was fighting for those people. He didn't accept the slaves. And if we know that time, it was common to have. He also had in his house slaves. And he was the one that freed everybody in his house. And they could stay and have the food and work there for the living, because he didn't have money to pay to all of them. But he did the first. He was the example. And he worked very hard to the abolitionist laws in Brazil at the time. He also wanted to, he was a visionary. He knew that the city would develop so more people could benefit from it. So the Ferrocarril Company, which is the trains and everything, he was also working with the laws, with the government, with the local government in Rio de Janeiro to have that established. So he was, besides being a doctor, helping people, he was in the politics, and he was also working for the human rights at that moment. Then, when he had his first contact with the Spirit's book, we think, when did he become a Spiritist? And it was in 1870 where he first read the Spirit's book. But it was not in this time that he became a Spiritist. At this time, he was still Catholic. But he was going I'm just saying if the next, yes, I'm going to talk about a little bit. He had in Rio de Janeiro to go from one city to the other. I'm not familiar with the name of the cities, but he had to take what is the name of that in English? A balsa. To cross the ferry boat. Yes. He had to take the ferry boat to cross from one city to the other city. And that would take like more than 1 hour. He had the Spirit's book with him because a friend of him had given to him. And he was thinking, he said, I don't think I'm going to be sent to hell if I read this book. And he started reading the book in this time that he was crossing. And he read the book. And he was a philosopher, as we say. He used to read a lot. What he thought was that if I read everything on other lectures, he was very interested in everything. He was a little bit interested in every single reading that he had, and he said, I think I should give it a try on this one too, not discriminating just because of the name of the book. I'm gonna see, as the same way I did with the other books that I read, I'm gonna read this one and I'm gonna see what it relates to everything that I've been reading so far. And he found a lot of things in common, which is the logic of the Spiritism that it was in his mind since then. Then, at the age of 55, in August 17, was when he, for the first time, declared himself a Spiritist. And he caused a great stir in the society of the time because of his notoriety. He was very known person in Rio, but as you can see, from 1870 to 1886 was when he declared himself, after reading, studying, going to the Brazilian Federation. He started studying, and the day he went and he spoke to the people about it, it was something he had matured in his heart. He already knew it. There was no coming back at this time. So he was the president of the Federation presidency for many, many years until he died, until he disincarnated. This is a picture of as he was a long time ago. He was also called the doctor of the poor. And why is that? We think. When he started teaching med, when he decided to do the med school, and he was in this career, he had in his heart that if you cannot serve someone and help and assist with something that you have in your knowledge, then you're not a real doctor. For example, if you think about it's raining, I cannot go right now, and there is a need, someone needing your assistance, or you say, you know what, I will go tomorrow because I'm very tired, or I can't go because this person cannot pay for my service. All of this for him was not in count. He would go anytime, anywhere, because he thought in his heart that whatever he knew and he could help someone, there is no time, there is no money, there is no difficulty that would keep him from going. So this is the way he dealt with the med the whole life. He had a lot of people that he attended that didn't have a penny to pay. Doesn't matter. He was a doctor by heart. His mission was accomplished. We consider accomplished in the 900. He passed on April 11. April is a month with a lot of celebrations, right? And with his devoted companion of many years, Candida Augusta, by his side. She was there with him. And in the Reformador magazine, Leon Denis wrote a passage in his talking about Bezerra. He said, when such men cease to exist, not only Brazil mourns, but spiritists around the world. And it was Leon Denis that said that. So Bezerra de Menezes' work was very known in the whole world at that time. After Dr. Bezerra passed, we have a lot of books with a lot of messages from him. He keeps bringing us messages through the mediums. The very Divaldo Franco is one of them that brings messages from Bezerra de Menezes, other mediums too. And every year, there is an annual ordinary meeting promoted by the National Federative Council of the Brazilian Spiritist Federation. And every year, he brings a message to everybody that is in that meeting. And we brought here the titles of the messages. They are all available in the internet. And we know Bezerra de Menezes decided to stay on earth to help us here. He was a spirit that was able, after his disincarnating, he was able to go to better worlds. He was evolved enough to go to other works in the spiritual world. But he decided that he wanted to stay helping us in this planet Earth until all of the people incarnated here, the spirits that attached to this planet, would evolve as well, would be better. So it was his choice. A beautiful and big heart. So As we can see in the titles, unification and decision. New conquests bring science closer to religion. He used to talk about science and religion. The blessing of legitimate fraternity. Decisive moment. Perseverance in goodness and do not hesitate. Historic moment of transition towards light. Vigilance and fidelity in the last hour. Pilgrim lighting now announces the dawn of the new era. Glorious victory of light against darkness. So when we see the messages, we know that he's talking about the moment, the time that the planet is right now. And one of the people was thinking, why the messages are repetitive? If we read them, we can see that the messages talk about it's not time, the time is now. Let's move on. No hesitation. Unification. Let's get united. Vigilance, fidelity in the last hour. The victory of light against darkness. And he keeps repeating the messages year over year. It's because we still need to listen to the same message. We are in the process of waking up, but we are not awake as of right now as a civilization we are talking about in Earth. So that's why the messages, they keep bringing the topics that the humanity needs to pay attention and to change. And he says, we are once again alerted to the need to live the gospel in our lives. This is one of the messages. Attending without excuses to the invitation of fraternity and union. We have been called to the work of the last hour and to witness the beginning of the new era with proactivity, ensuring our offering in the battle of light against darkness. 2019. It's pretty new. And he keeps giving us messages and passages. So maybe we can read them and we can feel it and we can live the gospel as he says here. It's not enough to read only. It's the practice. And the practice is in our daily lives. Small things, little things. When we have some difficulties in our lives, the gospel is right there to be applied. It's not only during the prayer, during the time we are here in the center, living the gospel as he says here. And he also says without excuses. We are always so busy in our lives. The first message said that we don't even have time to rest our minds. How can we live the gospel if we're always running? We don't stop to think, to live what Jesus brought us. We are always losing our patience. Who's not? I do a lot. It's a lesson. How can I apply the gospel in those situations? How can I be patient? How can I understand that difficult one that doesn't understand what I say, that doesn't want to listen to me, that doesn't like me, that try to do something bad against me? How can I apply this gospel in those moments? Those are the moments. The difficult relationships at work. The ones that we say, oh my God, that person is going to be there. So I'm not going. Those are the moments where Bezerra de Menezes is telling us it's time for us to start waking up our souls and applying this gospel in our daily lives. And what makes it very beautiful about this doctrine is that it does not expect us to be perfect, because we know it's not possible from one day to the other. We don't change like this. It's little by little, but it says that if we try, and if we try hard, if we realize when we do something bad and we say, oh my God, that is not nice, that is not right, I shouldn't done that. And next time I try my best not to repeat again. That is when we start understanding and living the gospel. Trying by heart, being better every single day of our lives. So that's why I bring this passage, because for me, this spirit, Bezerra de Menezes, is represented in this passage of the Gospel, chapter 17, Be Perfect, which is the chapter that Chris is going to do the Gospel after in Portuguese at 11:30. And the good spirits, that is, in Portuguese, o homem de bem, which Bezerra de Menezes is the person represented in that passage. And when we read that passage, we say, oh my God, how much I'm still fighting with myself to get to be that person, to be that moral person, as the English gospel call it, moral persons. This is the ending of the message, but I'm going to read a little bit of the example of a moral person, and we will see that Bezerra de Menezes is this person. Not because he wanted to be, not because he never said anything about himself, but because of the work he's done, because of the people that he helped. We know that when he disincarnated, he didn't have a penny in the wallet, but his office, his medical office, was full of people. And people think, wow, but why? Because the ones that he attended were the ones that couldn't pay, but he was attending all of them. So his office was full of people there. But he disincarnated as simple as he came to the world, with nothing material, but with a big spirit enlightening. What is the truly moral persons? We talk about moral today, and when we speak at home with our daughters and everything, we misunderstand this word moral. What is being moral? Why spiritists also talks about moral rules? Those are the God laws. Those are the laws that if we live, we align to God, and we will be this truly moral person. It says, truly moral persons are those who practice the law of justice. Starting from justice. We don't understand God's justice. When we say justice, we talk about what I think is just based on what I think it's better. And we know many, many times it's not. It's not what we need. It's not what we need to pass through. But then we say it's unjust. The situations are unjust. But if we think that we have a God, a Father, that is loving and that is just, everything that happens is just. So when we understand this justice behind everything, understanding why things happen, then we start building that truly moral person. We practice the law of justice, love and charity in its greatest purity. It's the question, if they question their conscience about their actions, they ask themselves if they have violated this law. If they had done any evil, if they had done all the good they could, if they have willingly disregarded any opportunity to be useful, if anyone might have a complaint about them. And finally, if they had done unto others everything they would like to have done into themselves. This is one item of the passage. And it is also the first commandment. Loving each other, loving God and loving each other, loving your brothers and your sisters. It's everything into the same. The second, they have faith in God and God's goodness, justice, and wisdom. They know that nothing happens without God's permission, so they submit to the divine will in everything. It's not for us to sit down and wait for life happen to us. It is for us to do our best in everything we can. But when a situation comes which it's not in our power to do, to change, we trust. And we ask for strength to go through those moments because it is the best for us. And we're going to see that many, many times. We see that far away from that situation. We look back and we say, wow, if I hadn't passed through whatever happened to me, I would not be here today. I would not understand what's going on. So this is the trust. When we do everything we can, we work hard and we trust. They have faith in the future. Thus, they place spiritual possessions above temporal ones, understanding that our life is a period. We are passengers here. What we take with us, what we will take with us when we go. Everything that we built, the friends, the friendships, the love, the people that we helped, everything for our soul. But we are not taking any material possessions because they will stay here. This is for this world. They are instrument for us to learn. We need them. Yes, of course we need them. We need a house, we need a car, we need the material things also for us to work, trying to get those things, to get a better life for our families. All of this is totally accepted. But if we put those things ahead, the real important things that are our soul, if we don't take a time to pray, to help someone when in need, then we are not walking in the path that we should be. We should then recalculate. And it's always time for us to recalculate and start doing better and better. Moral persons are kind, humane, and benevolent towards all, regardless of race or creed, because they regard all people as their brothers and sisters. So it is a very big passage which, in my heart, Bezerra de Menezes is an example of everything that is written in this passage. It says they study their own imperfection, they strive incessantly to combat them. They are focused on being able to say to themselves tomorrow that they are better than they were yesterday. All the messages from Bezerra de Menezes, they have some of these messages, some of these teachings inside it. So, in the ending of the passage, it says, finally, moral persons respecting their fellow beings all the rights arising from the laws of nature, in the same way they wish their own to be respected. Respect each other, love each other. This is not a list of all the qualities that define moral persons, but whoever makes an effort to possess them is on the road that leads to all the others. So it's inspiring for all of us because evolution doesn't stop. We're gonna get there sooner or later. Better be sooner. Let's start every single day of our lives having this spirit, which is the father of our house, Bezerra de Menezes, the sample of a moral person in our lives. So thank you, everybody, for this moment, for the opportunity of talking in a language that is not my nature language. So apologies for my English. But we feel very happy to be here with all of you. And we are going to do then a prayer to finish the thoughts of today. The passes are collective this time. We have the workers of the pass We will have the individual passes at 12:30 when the gospel in Portuguese finishes, if you want to stay for the following gospel as well, okay? But we can see that we get attended here regardless. So inviting everybody once again to pray to God, to thank God for this opportunity, one more opportunity in our lives of being here, serving this house, getting to know a little bit more about Bezerra de Menezes. And may his teachings be in our minds, be his example, his living, a model for us. As Jesus taught us, there is no way to get to the Father without charity, without loving. May we love each other every single day of our lives, respecting each other, understanding our difficulties, but getting strength from our Father in heaven. Because we know that this Father loves us so much. This incarnation is the beautiful opportunity in our hands. So let's live it with love. Thank you, Spiritist Center, for everything that we receive here from the spirits that work with us. And may we better ourselves every single day of our lives. Today, tomorrow, and always. So be it.